Hello everybody, hello folks, my name is Freddy Avalos, I'm from Cusco, Peru, and I'm expedition leader, I am a tour leader, I'm a travel director, program director, tour director, all the different names that the companies give me to use when I lead the groups in Peru. When I go to the Amazon River, we navigate on the boats, capacity for 30, and it's beautiful. We go into the creeks and all of that. When I go to Machu Picchu, we use the plane and then the buses and the train to go to Machu Picchu. And also when we explore the coast, we go to the Nazca Lines, the Paracas Bay, that's a small version of Galapagos, and the shanty towns in Lima, and everything in Peru. It's so interesting, this country, that's the reason why I created this channel, to talk about my country. And this is like this. Muy bien. Peru and the origin of its name. That's the talk about today. So what is the history behind the name? So there is the Peruvian flag, as you can see, red, white, and red, and it's the emblem that represents the three kingdoms of Peru: the Vicuna animal kingdom, the quinine tree, the vegetable kingdom, and the cornucopia, the mineral kingdom on the lower part. And then it's a king, is one of the king's picture that's not real, it's an hypothetical idea that says the word Peru does not have a Quechua or a Mara origin, as many think, and that's true because it's not. Okay, so let me give a little bit back on what in Europe they call the age of discovery or the age of exploration. That happened in 15th to 17th century. That is the time when a lot of rich people, powerful people in Europe invest a lot on the explorers, on people brave enough to go on lands or areas where nobody knows, with a lot of risk, and if they find treasure, they were going to take all of that. Doesn't matter how what happened and the details behind, but if it happened genocides or not, that's another history. But this is the way. If in Europe they wanted to know or show themselves like explorers or things like that, that's another subject. But this is the way how it's called, the age of discovery or the age of explorations. And this is the way how Christopher Columbus landed in the Americas in October 12, 1492. Okay, so and after many years, the people start giving the name, different names, until 1507, when was properly called America. Okay, and something interesting, if you learn Spanish, if you're an English speaker, and if you learn Spanish, they will say, oh wait, you say America? Okay, America is North America, North America, Central America, okay, and America del Sur, South America. Okay, so just a little bit of Spanish. Now, Vasco Núñez de Balboa, where I'm gonna talk about him because he's the first Spaniard who saw the ocean. Okay, but anyway, 19 years old, he arrived in America. He was in Panama with other explorers looking for glory, for fortune. He fell in love of the governor of Panama, child or daughter. Sorry, no, I'm not sorry. I'm not saying that he fell in love with the guy. Okay, so Pedro de Arias' daughter was a beautiful girl that fall in love with this guy. Okay, and I'm mentioning this because I will connect that very soon. So anyway, he was hearing a lot of stories about the South, and he wanted to explore further south, and he wanted just to see what is more, because as I told you before, the explorations means chances to find treasures, the claim for them, and for the crown in Spain. And this is the way how in his team was somebody who was probably one of the most popular, or maybe not popular, but in our history, somebody who always mentioned and everybody knows who is him, Francisco Pizarro, the conqueror of the Incas. Okay, so, but what happened? The history says that Vasco Núñez de Balboa, when they were exploring the south, they were camping, and the next day, while everybody was so tired, so that he decided to climb the hill, and this is when he had the chance to see the Pacific Ocean, the first Spaniard who saw the ocean. Okay, so in that way, this is part of the history. This is what happened. And when they returned, his father-in-law, Pedro Arias de Dávila, or Pedro Arias Dávila, sorry, so sent Francisco Pizarro to catch him and to take him to Pedro Arias de Dávila. And he was accused, okay, Vasco Núñez de Balboa, the son-in-law, was accused to for conspiracy against the crown of Spain. Okay, so can you imagine that your father-in-law, or you hate so much your son-in-law that you want to execute him? That's exactly what happened. That's the reason why sometimes history can be more interesting or can be more impactful than real talk shows. Okay, so talk shows is, it's just acting. This is real. But anyway, Vasco Núñez de Balboa, who saw for first time, or the first Spaniard who saw the Pacific Ocean, was executed by order of his father-in-law, Pedro Arias Dávila. That's just crazy. Okay, now let's go back to what we want to talk about. In 1521, Pascual de Andagoya decides to explore the south area, as all these natives talking about treasures and all of that, and he passed the Gulf of San Miguel in Panama, and he was fighting with the native people and all of that until he met the Biru chief in 1522, and at the end, after some fights, he won. Okay, and he controlled, and he was hearing, actually the chief of Biru, that was the name of a river also, he was telling him that farther south is a kingdom full of gold and silver and all of that. So that opened his eyes. He explored more to the south. He fell in the river. He almost died. He was rescued by the chief of Biru, and this is the way how he decided to go back to Panama. Okay, so, and then there was all of this coming from Biru. Okay, and the chief of Biru was going to Panama with him also. Okay, and by the way, the Biru river still exists in Colombia. Okay, so that is a Choco word. That is the native language of the people at that time. They were speaking in that area where nowadays is Colombia. Okay, and in July 23, 1523, Pascual de Andagoya, when he took all these treasures to the melting house in Panama, when he registered all of this, he used the word of province of Peru. It's the first time in an official document the word Peru was used. And in Panama, after that, they were hearing a lot of stories about El Dorado. That was a golden city. The walls were covered with gold. The roof was covered with gold. Animals, plants, and people in gardens were with gold. Even the fountains, they were throwing out melting gold and all of that. That sounds just amazing. Something incredible. And this is the way how Francisco Pizarro, Diego de Almagro, and Hernando de Luque make a company. As I told you, that was a way to invest. So, and this is the way how these three associates, they started the enterprise called the discovery of El Dorado and things like that. So this is the picture about the first trips. The first trip was on 1524, leaving from Panama until where nowadays is Colombia, and however they have to return because after the fights with native people and the lack of provisions, they need to go back. In the second voyage, okay, that was in 1526, they left Panama. Okay, they left Panama with 2 ships and 160 men. Okay, so this is when they go farther, as you can see with the blue color, the line with the blue color, and this is when they capture some fishermen, and they named one of them Felipillo, who was actually the future translator when Pizarro met Atahualpa, the last king before they catch him, and that was the conquering of the Incas. And also something interesting happened is in the Gallo Island, where nowadays is Colombia. So was somebody from Panama who was coming to rescue all the other sailors because somebody sent a letter to the governor of Panama saying that Pizarro was not exactly a good guy. He was a terrible guy. So in that way, Pizarro make a line and says, who's are behind this line, go back to Panama and be poor. Who are behind this line with me, we go south and we look for richness and glory. And that's what happened. And anyway, so Pizarro continued the trip to the south and arrived to where nowadays is Peru, where is Tumbes, Piura, and it's in this trip where he confirmed the existence of an amazing kingdom with a lot of gold and silver. Actually, he took some of the animals like a llama, he took some potatoes, he took some stuff, gold, and some treasures, because he was planning to go to Spain. Okay, but when they landed in Peru on Tumbes and all of that, so the native people were thinking they were gods coming back to save the empire, because it's a myth in the highlands about Tunupa or Huiracocha, that is a bearded man who appeared from the glaciers and going down and disappearing into the ocean, promising to come back someday when the empire was going to be in danger. I'm going to show you with the arrow here so you can see this is the face. This exists. This is on the Ollantaytambo in the Secret Valley of Cusco. This is the eyes on the rock, and it has to be in the afternoon to see this way. This is the bottom of the nose, it's cutted on the rock. The face was clean, and is the chin part that the moss is still there to looks like, or to show like a beard of this bearded man. Okay, so we are people with no hair, as you can see me, right? So I don't have mustache, I don't have beard, and almost clear, no hair. This is the way how local people we are. Okay, so nothing, but it's unusual to have a bearded man. So in that way, when they saw the Spaniards with the steel armor shining with the sun, riding a horse they thought was one body, shooting guns, they thought they were the gods coming back to save the empire. Big mistake, but that's part of the history. They were lucky. And this is the way in 1528 Pizarro went to Spain with all his treasure. He was taken to prison because he steps, but he was released, and he has the meeting with the Queen Isabel of Portugal on behalf of the King Carlos I, who was on some other commissions. So, and after she heard the history of Francisco Pizarro with all the treasures, with the potatoes, Yeyama, Felipillo, and all of that, so what happened, she accepted the agreements, and they signed the capitulation of Toledo, where Pizarro was authorized to discover and conquer the entire province of Peru. So this is the first time for the whole world where was used the word of Peru in 1529. The first official document that was only in Panama was on July 23 on 1523. That was by Pascual de Andagoya. But the first time for the rest of the world was used the word Peru was on July 26 in 1529 by Francisco Pizarro and Queen Isabel of Portugal. And these dates, it's very interesting because our independence that we got, the Declaration of the Independence of Peru, is on July 28 of 1821. Yes, so this is the independence of Peru, July 28. It is just crazy. But anyway, yo me llamo Peru. This was the history with Freddy Avalos. Okay, and so it's gonna be a pleasure for us to join in the future presentations. This was a pleasure for me, and anything you want to hear about Peru, let me know. I will cover everything, I promise. Thank you so much. Bye bye.